Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we're going to answer a couple of questions about the best path through kettlebell training. Most people get into kettlebell training because they hear that it is the best way to get what you want out of training. That is very, very true. In kettlebell training, you focus on your athletic basics in a very accessible and affordable way. You focus on a deadlift pattern, which is your swing, a clean, getting weights up to shoulder height, an overhead press. Now you have the basis of lifting and carrying, a basic human series of movements, a squat, which transfers to your ability to do literally everything in life. Getting up and down for your entire life with load is incredibly important. A get up, getting up off of the ground is a basic human skill. If you can't do it, you're not doing very well. And a snatch, getting a weight to all the way overhead in the least amount of time. Kettlebell training is incredibly effective, but to get to those basic 6 things, swing, clean, snatch, press, squat, get up, most people need to do a bunch of preparatory training. They need to focus on learning a proper deadlift pattern before the swing, a single arm deadlift before the swing, hand-to-hand change, getting weight up to rack height without bruising their arm. If you try to skip steps and you try to skip over the things that you should learn in the correct order, people tend to think that kettlebell training doesn't work. It's absolutely not true. Kettlebelling is absolutely the most effective way to burn the most calories for the least amount of money in the normal amount of time, other than heavy club swinging. Kettlebells are proportionally heavier than heavy clubs, so they tend to have a greater effect on your metabolism in the least amount of time. The way that you grip is different. Kettlebells pull through your hand or against your 4 fingers, whereas clubs pull through your grip or through this part of your grip. So you can lift more with kettlebells faster than you can with clubs. Think of clubs as throwing patterns. Think of kettlebells as lifting and carrying. The majority of Americans are out of shape. They are overweight and out of shape. 70% at least. Maybe 10% of the population is actually in reasonable shape. So kettlebells are a one-time fixed cost. You should buy a competition adjustable kettlebell. Competition means that the bell is the same size no matter what the weight, so that it always ends up being held the same. They are denoted usually by color code. So there are colors either on the bell or on the handle, and then there's numbers on the side which tell you. A competition adjustable bell will get you about $7,000 worth of fixed weight kettlebells, solid kettlebells, for $200 to $300 depending on where you get it from. The smaller the increments of weight, the more likely you are to succeed in a program. Most people need to focus on standing up first. Because the population of the modern world is generally pretty terrible at the most basic human thing, standing up, because we sit down the majority of our lives, at work, on the way to work, as we travel, at home for relaxation. So getting good at standing up, you should focus on a deadlift, a suitcase deadlift, weight on one side of the body, a squat pattern, holding a weight in front of you, not on your back, in front of you, and an overhead press. We call that the TOI program, training for overweight and deconditioned individuals. Then you should move to learning how to get the weight up to shoulder position, rack position effectively. If you can't get to rack position, you can't learn to do things like clean and press and long cycle. Clean and press is the slow version of a long cycle, more focused on creating rigidity in the body, which the majority of people need. And long cycle is the high athletic version, where people are working on endurance power. So there's a whole series of drills, about 25. So think 3 drills in the beginning, 25 drills, and then you get into your basic 6. The swing, clean, the snatch, the press, the squat, the Turkish get-up. Gentlemen, the midpoint of that is when you can do all of that with, say, a 24K. You should be able to do 100 snatches with a kettlebell at 24K without stopping or putting it down as your midpoint of training. At that point, you will absolutely be seeing the benefits. Getting there for most people is a multi-year strategy so that they don't get hurt and they don't get messed up. For ladies, usually it's 12K or so. That varies greatly because the size of ladies tends to vary greatly. But think 12K. You should be able to do 10 minutes of Turkish get-up nonstop without the weight ever touching the ground. You should be able to do 50 deck squats without ever putting the weight down. You should be able to do 150 clean and press without putting the weight down. You could change hands every rep if you wanted to, but the best way is descending pyramids. We talk about all this training all the time because people need to understand what and how and why things work. A clear path forward of information is the most important thing you can have. Good gear, the least amount of money for the absolute best thing that allows you to do the most training for the longest period of time. That's competition adjustable kettlebell, and then an adjustable club. Think of kettlebells as lifting and carrying, learning to stand up well. If you can't stand up, you can't do anything else. And then club swinging will fill in throwing patterns, which you absolutely need as a human. Doesn't matter what your age, doesn't matter what your sport, doesn't matter who you are. Throwing patterns make you move better, make your pain level go down. Work on learning things in the right order at the right speed. Nobody gets to the Olympics in 1 year. Think of an Olympic program as 12 years. If you are deconditioned, think you need 1 to 5 years to entirely change who you are forever. You don't change the body, you change the surface of your brain, your ability to process data. You change your tendons and your ligaments. You change everything about you, but you should do it the best way possible.